This has been the worst week of Donald Trump's presidency, and it's not even close. A vote to force the release of the Epstein files, followed up with the lowest poll numbers of his political career, followed up with Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation, followed up with a massive protest we're seeing today in Washington, D.C. And it is the reason Donald Trump is fleeing. It is the reason he's making an insane post. We're going to get into it all. But first, if you could leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps support our work. Now, before we get into that protest, that poll, and Donald Trump running away, because there is so much to get to in this terrible week for Trump, I want to start with those poll numbers that are driving him crazy. Check out how CNN broke it down.
Okay, that's just not the reality. America's economy is struggling. If you look at the Fed's Beige Book recently, you could have up to 80% of the United States already in a recession right now. And Americans are experiencing prices that are rising, continue to rise, and they certainly feel that they have risen. A new poll, in fact, shows that 75% of Americans say that grocery prices have gone up in the past 6 months. Only 12% say they've gone down, and perception is reality when it comes to the economy. A new Reuters Ipsos poll shows Trump's overall approval rating at 38%, the lowest so far of his second term, and that's just one of at least 5 polls in recent days showing Trump at his lowest approval rating. Out front now, Harry Enten, Xochitl Hinojosa, and Bill Kristol. So, Harry, look, when I say perception is reality, when it comes to the economy, that then translates directly to people's feelings about politics and who is in charge. So in the case of Trump, okay, how does this break down when you look at Trump's own party, in the Republican Party? How do they see him?
You know, this isn't just about overall, it's about Republicans, as you say, and the floor. I'm starting to see some cracks in that floor. Hasn't fallen through yet, but they're clear cracks. What are we talking about? Well, just look at the change since January in Trump's overall approval rating among Republicans. You see it down 22 points since January. That is a clear drop in the net approval rating among Republicans. And the question is, why? What's going on? What is driving that? Well, you heard the Vice President of the United States talk about the economy. You know, they say it's the economy, stupid. That's James Carville. I'll say it's the economy, smarty pants to you, Aaron Burnett. And what we see is, if we look at Trump's change in his net approval rating, and we just look at since March, if we look at it since March, what do we see in terms of inflation? What do we see in terms of immigration? Look at this. You see it here. You see a 27-point drop. You see a 19-point drop. These are the types of drops. What we're talking about here are the types of things that could end up really eating away at Trump's presidency.
Here's the thing. I think Donald Trump's approval rating is about to plummet even further. There is no time in which people are confronted with the cost of things more than in the peak of consumerism, the holidays. Thanksgiving is coming up, and people are realizing that either their groceries are way more expensive, or as Trump is bragging about, that Walmart Thanksgiving dinner being down like 4%. Yeah, it's because they removed 25% of the items. So of course it's going to cost a little bit less when you've lost a lot. And people are starting to realize that the guy who told them prices would go down on day one. Remember, on day one, not be patient like J.D. Vance is saying now. Yeah, he has sent prices skyrocketing with tariffs that he has used to get gifts from world leaders, get letters sent out that make him feel like a strong man, and to tank the stock market so he can insider trade. That is it. So of course his approval rating is down. And of course he's freaking out about it. Take a look at what Trump wrote on Truth Social. I have just gotten the highest poll numbers of my political career. While my work on the economy has not yet been fully appreciated, it will be. Things are really rocking. Stopping wars and foreign relations seems to be a strong suit. Also, the border and stopping crime. I predict that the economy, with the already highest stock market ever and prices coming sharply down from the Biden disaster, it will soon be at the top of the list. So there's a tiny acknowledgement there from Trump that people haven't recognized his work on the economy, which is to say, they've realized that he has screwed the economy. But for that reason and so many more, especially the fact that Donald Trump is a fascist running an authoritarian regime, protests have been taking place all across Washington today. Let me show you some of what's happening out there.
We're here at the Lincoln Memorial, where tens of thousands of people have gathered to call for the impeachment, conviction, and removal of Donald Trump. Right now, we got Dropkick Murphys on stage.
and jail the man that talks.
Message to MAGA. You think we're going to stop. You think that no kings is just one day. Well, this isn't no kings. This is the next moment and the next moment. And these moments will equal a movement, and that movement will stop your wannabe king, your wannabe tyrant. We will not stop. We will not give up. And most importantly, we will not comply. We got people lining the stairs of the Lincoln Memorial. We got people all the way around.
In the name of all that's made to cry.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what we need. Donald Trump has never been weaker. It's not just that his approval rating is in the toilet. His party is in shambles. People are turning on him. The Epstein files, of course, have blown up his term. His tariffs have blown up his term. The party is fractured. Donald Trump is weak, mentally and physically as well. So now is the time to protest him, to show up and show the numbers that we have, to fight back against this administration. While all the while Donald Trump is focused on what? His golf trip today. Listen to this.
So we're going to Andrews Air Force Base to do some work, especially for our great Air Force. We're doing some fix-up of the base, which is neat. We're going to try and reinstitute the golf courses. I'm meeting with the great Jack Nicklaus.
Donald Trump is focused on talking about golf courses with Jack Nicklaus, and people are starving because prices are exploding. That is why he is being protested. That on top of the fact that, again, Donald Trump is a fascist. So much so that he allowed Zoran Milanovic yesterday to confirm that to his face. And it's not just that Trump is a fascist, he is a loser of a fascist. And he is losing all over the place. Donald Trump has suffered L after L after L. I went through so many of them, I forgot that his redistricting plan, his gerrymandering plan, is being blown up across the country. Of course, the Supreme Court stepped in to help save Trump with those Texas maps, which are still a little up in the air. But if you look across the country at Kansas, at Indiana, these are states that are telling Donald Trump no, that they will not steal more seats for him, that it is not going to work out. And even if those Texas maps pass, Trump's approval rating is so low, people hate Republicans so much that it actually might benefit the left. Because those seats, they aren't all R+20. They're not overwhelmingly Trump districts. A lot of them are pretty tight. And tight elections this year will be won by the left. It's why Trump is freaking out. It's why he's furious over his approval rating. It's why Mike Johnson is about to go from the weakest Speaker of the House in history, certainly the smallest, to not the Speaker of the House. And Chris Hayes gave us a little bit more insight into just how bad it is for Donald Trump. And it really warms my heart to see all of this, so I hope it's going to warm your heart as well. Play the clip.
Republicans to do, because premiums are in fact shooting up. That wasn't made up. And it's going to haunt the entire Republican Party, particularly Republican House members in swing seats heading into the midterms who have to explain what's going on to their voters. In fact, there are reports that some Republicans are already privately panicking over those upcoming elections. We got one new poll that shows Democrats with a gargantuan 14-point lead on the generic ballot. Now, that's an outlier in the polling, and if that ends up being an outlier in the final result, even so, it is very clear when you put all the polling together, the Democrats right now are the ones with political momentum. That's evidenced by the off-cycle elections earlier this month, the first real test we had of all of this, when Democrats flipped the governor's mansion and the state legislature in Virginia, opening up a supermajority there. They became the first party in decades to hold New Jersey's gubernatorial mansion for 3 straight terms, to say nothing of the fact that 34-year-old Democratic Socialist beat both a Republican and a Trump-endorsed independent candidate to become the mayor-elect of the biggest city in the country. In fact, Republicans are so concerned about the midterms, Donald Trump ordered red states to rig their congressional maps, believing that extremely rare mid-cycle redistricting would be his salvation, right? The way to make sure that Republicans face no consequences with actual voters next year. But even in that case, Trump cannot get it over the finish line. Despite bullying and browbeating state legislatures with visits to the White House, personal entreaties by Vice President J.D. Vance, state legislatures under complete Republican control like Indiana and Kansas, to name 2, have refused to go along with this scheme, at least so far. They have told Trump no, they will not do his bidding. Even Texas, which of course did go along with the plan, had its new district struck down by a federal judge this week. Meanwhile, in Deep Blue, California, voters overwhelmingly approved a referendum to draw new maps of their own in order to level the playing field, which means, somewhat comically, at the end of the day, If the Texas map stays struck down, it's entirely possible Democrats end up being the ones benefiting from the whole fight. And then look at what happened in Congress this week. If you're not convinced, Republicans got rolled. They completely caved across both chambers. I mean, only one single Republican voted against the bill to release the Epstein files. That is despite, let's not forget, an enormous months-long pressure campaign from Donald Trump in the White House to block and kill this bill. Trump lost so completely, so thoroughly, he had no choice but to himself sign a bill he hated and opposed behind closed doors. Now, of course, the concern is what exactly Trump might do to distract the country from his losses. The last time Epstein was in the news, he sent federal troops to occupy Washington, D.C. A federal judge today said that was unlawful. He's threatened to do the same here in New York. There's a worry that as his losses pile up, he will only try harder to become an authoritarian. That is one of the reasons that Democratic members of Congress, both former military and intelligence officials, put out this video this week reminding troops and other officers they do not have to follow illegal orders from the president. In fact, it's crucial they don't. And Donald Trump has been completely melting down over that very video today. He has called for the participants in the video you're seeing on your screen right now, members of Congress, to be tried for treason. He has amplified calls for them to be executed. He has received bipartisan condemnation for his comments. All this is happening at a time when his approval rating has cratered, and it is very clear to everyone, not just people watching, but the people doing politics in Washington, that he is not operating from a position of strength right now.
He is in a free fall. He is in a state of collapse. It is obvious. It is clear. And everyone is panicked around him. And if that doesn't warm your heart, I don't know what will. We'll continue to talk about it on this show. Continue to bring that reporting to you. Continue to cover these protests. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you.